have to do all that I can in my power and model it for other people. You know, I'm hoping that other people see it and they go, oh, that's kind of cool, I could do that. Hi, my name is Betsy Hitz. Welcome to my home. This is the site that I've been stewarding for over 5.5 years, and I'm really excited to share it with you. I moved here after living in Albuquerque, New Mexico for 25 years. Everything about that climate the exact opposite of here. My house was huge. Every house I lived in was huge before I got here. So I moved into Eugene. Everything got smaller, which I know is good, and I really embrace that now. On the winter solstice is when my heat pump was installed. And right after that, I noticed that, of course, it's much quieter, very efficient. It's located on the wall in my kitchen, and the air gets shunted down the hallway and goes into the various rooms, and my electricity bill started to plummet. So I'm very, very happy with the heat pump, and I highly recommend that anybody who can put in a heat pump. In my environment, indoors and out, I do try to reduce, reuse, recycle all the way across the board. I try to not buy new things if I possibly can. I try to recycle lumber, and I try to use, rocks and stones that I might find to build beds or things like that. The wine bottles that I have dug in to make a little fence out there was just an idea that I got I had been on a trip somewhere and I saw this wall made of glass bottles. It was absolutely beautiful. I don't know if I'll ever do it, but I might. Making that border all these things out here in the garden is like a true labor of love. I try to make art artistic and very useful at the same time. I love the idea of useful art. This is the north, or the native garden, if you will. It has a growing fence of natives. I put in drought-tolerant plants as much as possible. There's Oregon grapefruit and the red flowering currant. Behind me, there's a fig tree growing, and I keep it chopped quite low. Keep it pruned up nicely so that I can harvest it. But last year I actually got 2 harvests, first time ever. I have an herb garden growing right over here. Now I have this espaliered pineapple guavas growing here. Actually, I brought in the raised beds for the vegetables over there and had a fence put in around it. And other species of natives here, I have evergreen huckleberry growing over there. And up near the house in the shady area, I have a lot of the native bleeding heart. Well, this is a solar food dryer that my handy person made. It's pretty cool. It sat over on my property 3 different places until I really learned it's all about how much solar gain are you going to get. So here it is on the south side of my neighbor's house. This is where the sun hits the solar food dryer and heats up the air, which then goes up into the back unit there where the shelves of drying food are. There's a fan back there that I plug in, and it circulates the air to make sure that bacteria, mold doesn't grow on the food. I did this because I like using the sun. I'm really in favor of using our resources in a really smart way. The summer after I moved in, I had been thinking about putting solar panels on, and I said, I'm just going for it. Even though my roof is east and west facing, I didn't have the perfect south face. I talked to Newt at Solar Assistant. He said, you can do it. Put it on that west side. You could put 14 to 18 panels. 14 would be enough. 16 will give you a little more, 18 even more, because I'm on that west side where I get 85% of the sun that I would get if it was south facing. So I have 16 panels up there, again, to give me that little cushion. What I noticed right away, it happened immediately, is, well, within the first year, is that 6 months out of the year, so half of the year, I harvest more energy from the sun than I use to power my life. And part of the powering my life includes that I power my electric vehicle that sits out behind my house. I don't have a charger. I don't need a charger because I just plug into the 110, and that's all I need for the driving that I do. I try to walk more, try to take the bus. I had a carport built, and then I'm noticing all the water running off this carport, and I'm going, okay, it needs a gutter, and oh, if I'm gonna put up a gutter, why don't I put a rain barrel right there? So all the water runs off the carport into the gutter, into the rain barrel, and then I have a hose attached to the top, which is the overflow, if you will, and I just run that out and move it around in my environment. There's two quotes that really kind of get into the heart of the matter and how I live my life. And one of them is a John Lewis quote where he said, "Do not get lost in a sea of despair." And the other one is a quote that I have on my refrigerator and I really take it to heart, and that is, "The antidote to despair is action." So I thank you all for coming to watch this video, and I hope you got something out of it. Take care.
Business as usual is not working. It's human caused and it can be human corrected.
Yeah.
And the good news about global heating is that we can fix the problem. I'm Peter.
I'm Martha.
And we've lived in this home for about 3 years and have done quite a bit to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels, made the home healthier, and reduced costs along the way. So welcome.
Yes. Welcome to our home.
This home was built in 1988, and it had many good features. It has really good green bones.
Yeah.
It has overhead solar tubes in the ceilings. It has skylights, and it has the fans in 2 different rooms that help efficiency in the wintertime warming and summertime cooling. Dual pane windows and weather stripping along the exterior doors, and very well insulated. The home is extremely well insulated.
Yes, it is. Well, when we got here, we had a gas oven and stove, and we had gas heating and gas water heater too. One of the things we did to change that was to get an induction cooktop and convection oven that are all powered by electricity. And the induction cooktop is a fantastic piece of equipment because with it you can heat things really fast. You have minute control over the changes in temperature, and it's not polluting our kitchen with noxious fumes from gas. When we got our stove, we had to make sure all of our pans were magnetic because other types of pans won't work on an induction cooktop. So we have our handy magnet that we use to see if it will stick to the pan. If it does, then we know it will work on the induction cooktop, like that. Before we moved here, we actually had already bought a portable induction cooktop that we just used for single items, and it is very flexible, and we found it very helpful. This is really good for people who maybe can't quite or don't want to change their whole cooking equipment to electric yet. They can use this on a portable basis. It takes up less space, and it's right handy.
So very recently we replaced both our heating and cooling system and our water heater. We had an old gas water heater that was from 2003, 19 years old, and replaced it with this heat pump water heater. I want to point out too that eWeb has a rebate program, $800 per water heater. So you can find water heaters through that program, heat pump water heaters for $1,200. So you end up paying $400 for your water heater, and eWeb supplies an $800 check. This is the air handler part of the system. The heat pump itself is mounted on a pedestal outside the home. It actually draws heat out of the air and it can do that in very low temperatures. They work so much in the background you don't even know, they're on. Regarding carbon emissions and cost of operation, the carbon emissions on a gas system are about 5 tons per year. On this system, it's 0.6 tons per year. So you're almost 10 times fewer carbon emissions with the electric heat pump system compared to a gas system. In terms of saving money and reducing carbon, actually electric cars, I think, are a top priority to think about acquiring, because zero emissions on the electric car. A typical gas car produces about a ton of emissions for every 3,000 miles of driving. But the money savings is incredible, because this car can fully charge on $8 worth of electricity and go 240 miles.
We were really not happy with our landscaping the way it was, and we wanted a change, and we found J.R. Morgan, and he did a fabulous job.
My name is J.R. Morgan, and I'm the owner of Morganic Roots Eco Firm. We specialize in design, education, and ecoscaping. We do a lot of regenerative landscaping. Here at Martha's and Peter's house, they really were looking for a place that they could have low maintenance plants, a place that the soil was being restored and improving the health of the soil, and also just having a low maintenance property. One of the best things about this property is that we were able to maximize space. As you guys can see, it's not a very big property, but there's a lot of productivity going on. People do ornamental shrubs or flowers in a place like this, but Peter and Martha, they preferred for this area to be able to grow food. So what we did is we put a garden bed here, and to make it easier to where you don't have to bend over, we have a bench where you can sit and do your gardening. In urban permaculture, one of the main focuses is maximizing space. And in this small corner, this is exactly what we did. Before I came, there was ornamental plants, hydrangeas, and we had to relocate those, and we put in multifunctional plants that are ornamental and edible. This red flowering currant is a perfect example of one of those types of plants. It's beautiful, but then it's also an edible. Right here we have the collard tree, which grows up to 10 feet tall. And this is a great one because it doesn't grow wide, it grows tall, and that helps with maximizing space.
Thanks for coming today. We're really glad you're able to be here. We're glad to be able to share with you what we've done, and hope that you found some things that might be useful for you in your living environment.
Thank you for your time and your intention. Good luck on your journey.
I've worked to make my house as energy efficient as I can. It's also very simple, has a light carbon footprint, it's enjoyable, and it's a happy place to be. Hi, my name is Tomoko Sekiguchi. Welcome to my humble home. I've lived here for 36 years, and there are things and processes that are a little unconventional. And so I wanted to show you what those were. When I first got the house, it was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house with an attached garage. It was built in 1948, and it was not very energy efficient. And so we put in new windows, double pane windows. We put a lot of insulation in the attic and in the floors. In the first big remodel of the house, we converted the garage into a kitchen dining room with a bedroom above. Then many years later, to increase density, we split the house into 2 units, one for me and the other is the apartment. The forced air system was removed, and I replaced it with a ductless heat pump and radiant floors. This is the heat pump water heater. It's very energy efficient. It's very inexpensive to run. Instead of running a pipe from my hot water heater all the way, a long distance to this other kitchen, what I'm using is this small hot water heater that the line is right by the sink, and so it doesn't lose so much heat. in the pipes. And so that's another more efficient strategy. With the porch, what I did is I used salvaged wood, and so I had to go pretty far and wide to find it. But you can see the nail holes where that are still showing, and I like to show off that kind of thing too, so that you can see that it is old wood. And also, it provides a lot of shading, and I think that's really important in the summertime because when you've got shade, then the whole house is cooler. It's a good way to reduce your energy gains. I really love cooking with gas, but I also knew that it was really bad for the environment, and the stove quit working. Of course, I couldn't buy a new gas stove, and so I got this induction cooktop. And I've really learned to love it because it turns off and on really quickly, just like a gas burner, and it hits the right temperatures so quickly. There's the Tadillac, there's the clay plaster walls, there's salvaged wood again that I used. I also got a tub off of Craigslist, so a used item is always better for the environment, for the waste system. So probably the most interesting thing is this shower wall, and it is made of something called Tadillac. And it is a wall that's made out of lime plaster. Typically, if you got lime plaster wet, it would take on water. It would absorb it. But what happens is that at the final stages of when it's drying, you take a stone and you burnish the surface until it's extremely smooth. And then afterward, you paint it with a black olive soap, and a chemical reaction happens and it becomes waterproof. Also, I have a bidet system, and I like using that because, one, it feels cleaner to me, but also, in the time of COVID, there was a big run to the grocery store for toilet paper, and I didn't have to deal with that, so that was pretty nice. In the end, there's water in the tub, so I use that to bucket flush the toilets. The reason why I do that because, flushing the toilet with bucket water is just a drop in the bucket. It's an important thing for me to do because it reminds me that, yes, our resources are important and we should use it very sparingly and wisely. In the front, I've decided to make it into a food forest. And so I've only just started, so the plants have not grown up. They're these little twigs that are sticking up that will someday be trees. We'll walk around to the side of the house and through to the bike shed. And I just wanted to talk about bicycling as one of the top climate solutions for an individual. And I help organize and volunteer with a group called Climate Revolutions by Bike. And we're interested in advocating for bicycling and to get more bicycles than cars on the road. It's a 3,000-gallon rainwater catchment tank, and it's probably enough water to water my garden 50 times. And so I'm thinking that in the summertime, if there's an emergency or a crisis where we can't have access to water anymore, I can continue to grow my garden. The backyard is for more of a conventional garden where I'll plant tomatoes and peppers and lettuce and things like that. And then I put in a pizza oven. Its sustainability feature is community building, and community building through pizza gatherings. For me, it's not about living the status quo life of the past 50 years. There's an elegance to living simply and well, and I feel like less is more.
We're here today collecting stories of active transportation, just how you got started in active transportation, and what your motivations are, and any next steps you plan on taking, and maybe something you'd like to tell Eugene city planners about Eugene's active transportation and the streets and so on.
My name's Jan Spencer, and I've been a resident of Eugene for 30 years, and I've lived in the River Road neighborhood for 20 years. And a large part of that reason for living in River Road was access into Eugene on the bike path. I've been into bikes for a long time. I rarely drive at this point. I am very concerned about automobiles. They take up a lot of space. They make a lot of pollution. It takes a lot of money for the United States to spend on all the weapon systems to protect access to the oil and to the whole global infrastructure to keep the fossil fuel economy going. So I'm very interested in the changes being made in Europe, in France, Paris, Barcelona. Many cities in Europe are way ahead of the United States in terms of pushing back on cars. And I applaud any efforts to create alternatives to the automobile, creating the 15-minute neighborhoods, and the whole idea of people participating more in their own transportation. I think it's liberation, and I think we're either going to make the changes that we need to make, or we're going to wish we had. So I'll leave it at that.
We like to ride around the trails and check out the river and go tubing.
Yeah.
And we think Eugene's the perfect city for riding bikes, right?
Yeah, but we only went tubing once.
Yeah, but we like all the things we can do here.
Uh-huh. So you have your own bicycle? That's nice.
What color is it?
Blue, purple, and pink.
Wow.
Blue, purple, and pink.
Those are the main colors. There's also many others. I don't really like the colorful anymore because now my favorite color is black.
Now your favorite color is black, huh?
And now I have all these different colors except for black. Everything on there is different colors except for black.
Yeah.
I just really want to get my friends out here.
Uh-huh. Out here doing what?
Like we're doing now.
Oh, yeah? Just riding and stopping and hanging out?
Yeah.
All right, well,
Anything else?
do you want to ask kids to come and ride for Climate Revolutions by bike?
Yeah.
All right. Can you say Climate Revolutions by bike? No. All right.
Hello, my name is Jim New. I'm here today riding with Climate Revolutions by bike. I'm a member of 350 Eugene for about 5 or 6 years. I started riding bikes probably when I was about 7 or 8 years old, back in the Midwest. And I had a bicycle route, and had a little Stingray bike, and I used to ride and deliver newspapers 3 times a week doing that, and have loved bike riding ever since. I currently here in Eugene, predominantly my means of transportation is an electric car, but on events and for exercise, I do ride about twice a week on my own, and also with a group called GEARS, Greater Eugene Area Riders, and they meet several times a week for rides anywhere from 15 to 20 miles up to 115 miles. So you can pick, but it's a great group of folks who get together and have a lot of events as well as scheduled rides. I couldn't really tell you how many miles a week I ride just because it fluctuates so much. It can be as much as 100 or as least as 25. I think the big thing for the city is to, GEARS put on this event where they had a person come from Amsterdam and talk about bicycling in Amsterdam and how it's their primary source of transportation. And from that, we really got a sense of how backwards things are in the United States, where car is king and bike should be the way of going. And that's something that we should always keep in mind when designing and planning for new transportation and upgrade, is to put bicycles in front and the car behind. So thank you for your time and for allowing me to do this. Great.
My name's Andrew. I'm basically one of the local homeless here in Eugene.
What does biking allow you to do that you couldn't do without a bike? How would your life change if you didn't have your bike?
I was previously doing like a lot of walking and so on, so it's more of a transportation issue and allowing me to get things taken care of more quickly and so on. The next step for, I don't know, my particular situation would be, I don't know, going for the an actual job and all that stuff, and just kind of working my way up, and that would I don't know, probably be going for like a vehicle eventually and so on. But for now, I don't know, being on using a bicycle, and the fact that Eugene has as many bike trails or bike paths as it does, it just kind of works out really well.
On a typical day, where would you go to with your bike?
For myself, it's a matter of getting priorities taken care of. For me, it's like I'm working on basically taking on more responsibility with dealing with homelessness stuff, homelessness issues, and other things and so on. And so I don't know. It's like the priority list is getting higher and so on. So the demands and all that stuff are becoming bigger and so on. So just having a bike available makes most of that stuff possible, rather than I don't know, if I was still stuck walking around, there's a lot of stuff that I would not be able to do just because I'm able to get around to different places a lot quicker.
My name is Chuck Arford, and I used to ride my bike occasionally to work, kind of a fair weather bicyclist. And one day I fell off my bike and I broke both wrists. And the thing I remember most about that accident is my butt hitting the pavement, my back hitting the pavement, then the back of my helmet smashing against the pavement and breaking, but my head was fine. So always wear a bike helmet. That's what I've learned. Events like this, Climate Revolution by Bike, really help. It helps to ride with other people, with a group. It helps to have a purpose. It helps to make short trips where you don't have to carry a whole lot of things with you. And so I am learning to ride again. And a friend has taught me how to ride slowly. So I live on a hill now, and that has also discouraged me because I got to ride up that hill every time. But when you ride slow and put it down in the easiest gear or the next to easiest gear, and you're not going that fast, but still you get there, and it's not a lot of work, it doesn't hurt, and you don't feel tired, and you want to do it again. So slow riding is a breakthrough for me, and I see a lot more bike riding in my future.